Hey guys, Dib the Awesome here to give you yet another exciting Monster Legends guide where we talk about monsters, moves, rune sets, partners, all that jazz. Today we are going over the monster Spitfire, the latest token monster who has come after uh is it Crastor? Yeah, I think Crastor was the last token monster. Yeah. So this is or is it Quest or token? Token Quest? You had to collect tokens, and after 2 weeks later, we will see this thing, and he comes out tomorrow. So I wanted to do a guide on him. Um, I think this monster is really interesting. Just straight off the bat, I think I don't know how well it's going to play out in competitive, but I feel like it's going to be one of the better ones just because of a few key things that I think are really, really busted about it. So I guess it's not OP, but it's like its moves are just good, you know. The cooldowns, look at the cooldowns it goes. Like you don't see any threes. It's all ones and twos and just straight up zeros. It's great. So life is 67,559. Very spicy life. Um, I don't know if this is low. I'd see. I feel like almost hitting 70K is pretty decent. But this is really nice. Its power is 7,744. That's a lot of damage, boys. It's a lot of power. It's almost hitting 8,000. It's almost 8,000. Uh, this is pretty spicy. I gotta say, this is the nicest thing about it. Is the really high base stat, and it has a 60 damage skill to top that off. And it can hold a essence. We'll get into that later. But for right now, just the fact it is a very high. Oh, it's almost hitting 8,000 plus a 60 damage skill. Plus, it has other things that make it nice. Plus, it has a consistent. Oh, that's spicy. That's really, really, really nice. I don't know if it's higher or the same level as I can't check it right now, but I don't know if it's the same or higher than Heist. Um, but I like to compare it to Heist in the sense of they're both fire damage dealers, right? But they both have really key differences in terms of their traits, and it might sway you one way or another whether you want to run Heist over this or run Spitfire over Heist. Speed is 5,841. This is a really fast attacker. I think this isn't. Yeah, I'd say the speed stat is really nice. It should be faster than Craster. I think this is a fast. This thing I think was meant to check Craster. It makes sense that we got another. The next quest would be something to kind of contradict the last quest, just to kind of balance things out in the meta. I don't know how many people are running Craster on defense right now. I just know he's a really great, fully ranked monster. If you do take Craster is one of those monsters. If you do take the time to rank him up, it is really dumb. Like his recovery is nuts. Like his HP pool is crazy. Like if you take the time to invest in a grass store, you will see results. That's how it works. Um, Most monsters don't see the light of day just because most people would just rather invest in just really broken things, like like as soon as they hit like Lindworm for example. Lindworm becomes great at like 130. For sure, it's phenomenal at 130, but 150 Lindworm is just job dropping, right? They're kind of like that. But if you do take the time to invest in these things that not everyone is, you do feel special and you do feel like you feel good. Like for me, example, I'd say Urkin. Like not many people invest in Urkin, but I did invest in Urkin, and I do win a lot of common matchups. It's the term is called anti-meta. It's not exactly, it's not like a Nor or it's not like whatchamacallit, but it does contradict a lot of the things that are common in the meta. And like so many comps are running, stamina related things, and some of them are running water type monsters or against the thunder. It's just a bunch of anti meta things. It runs like stamina, like relics. It's nice. It's kind of what this thing is going for in the sense that if you invested in it, you'd probably check a lot of important things in the game. Especially Crastar. I'd say in terms of checks for Crastar right now, there needs to be a lot because right now once you deal with a 150 Crastar, it's hard to get rid of. It's tanky and it has recovery and you need bursty burst, and this thing is a bursty burst monster with the type advantage. It's such a big deal. So at rank 0, it gets hardened Self-explanatory, 20% chance not to get hit with just anything, period. This trait has gone down over the years in terms of value because everything nowadays seems to have either precision or true vision in terms of the starting monsters like Tabora, for example. I think she has true vision, if I'm not mistaken. Let me know if I'm wrong. It doesn't matter if I'm wrong or right, but I just feel like there's more common things like the Naya and or supports that get true vision. Like they just don't miss. At rank 1, you do get tough, which is very, very valuable. You do lose the harden though. You don't get to keep harden and tough, sadly. It's just sad. And at rank 3, you get self-torture immunity. This is a buff. This can be taken. But it is still nice to have. It's kind of like control immunity, but the opposite. You're not immune to all control. You're immune to all DOTs. You cannot be burned. You cannot be ignited. You cannot be poisoned. You cannot be drowned. You cannot be quicksand. You cannot be anything as long as this buff is on you. You do not take any form of DOT whatsoever. Or at least you shouldn't. Unless there's some weird, debuff that counts as a DOT, but not DOT in the future. But for right now, if you have torture immunity, you shouldn't be affected by sunburns. You shouldn't be affected by just anything. You should be good. You should be spicy. This is a really valuable trait to have. Period. Like if it's a solid trait, like if you ever run into like a glam head or a Sivart, these monsters tend to live a long time and they do really good things. And most importantly, because of the fact they're just immune straight up to DOT, like they can't be tortured. And if you neglect to disable that trait, they just don't get. They just take the natural base damage of skills. And if like let's say I do like a DOT move, right? I just do the damage. I don't actually do any more additional things. It's like you just take damage and it doesn't really matter if they do the base damage, especially if you're running mutant life runes. I think this applies more to monsters that run mutant life while being immune to torture immunity. Again, like Lambhead, like Abysmus, like Sivart. These monsters just don't care at 150. If they're running super mutant life, they're gonna be out there for a while if you don't disable that trait. I'm just saying that now. Things with those kind of passives do just kind of sit there. They don't have to worry about dying unless you have specific things to check them. They're not. They're gonna be there for a while. So this is just nice to have like straight up in the beginning of the game. Though it does kind of make I will say it kind of makes tough pointless in the beginning of the game because most of your ailments will be DOTs. So I don't know. I don't know how I feel about this in the long run of things because I'd rather have like a control immunity at the very least, but it's whatever. This is still a good passive to have. Relics, it can hold a mask and an essence. I do love masks. Masks can be universally used for, stamina recovery, healing options. It's one of the more versatile relics in the game, but it's mostly just self-based. There is a team-based relic that gives everyone on your team shielding. It's kind of like the tenacity shields. In fact, it's exactly like tenacities. If you ever did level it up, it scales the same. It's basically tenacities for mask. I love it. Everyone should love it. It just saves you. It shields off damage. It's great. Essence. It can hold a essence. This means even if you kill this, it can actually come back with Uriel's Essence. Uriel's Essence is probably arguably the best relic in the entire game. In fact, so many people just look at relics constantly looking for where's an Essence monster? Where's an Essence monster? You know why? Because when they die, they come back. It doesn't matter if you kill them, they come back again with not full life, mind you, but their stamina is refreshed and their moves are off cooldown, meaning they can do whatever they want. So even if you did like a really good like deny setup at the beginning of the game, right, and you kill them and they get the move, that beginning play might as well not have done anything because now all their moves are off cooldown and they could possibly beat you if you're not running the same stuff. If you're not running 3 revive monsters, it's basically that first play didn't mean like any of those first interactions didn't mean anything because you immediately killed the monster. They get a turn in. Because they died and they didn't die from DOT. How to counter Uriel Essence really is dependent on DOT stuff. So if you want to just counter that, just run a bunch of DOT comps. But Uriel Essence is still just kind of annoying because you cannot kill them outright because if you do, they just get a turn in. And if they do get a turn in and you don't want them to get a turn in, they could just win. Like that could be their winning point. So it's really, really good. We're seeing more monsters with this, and it's going to be apparent that we might just get defenses in the future where it's just Uriel's essence. Like people are just running every single monster with Uriel essence. We're gonna see Taboras. We're seeing Shelly's. We're seeing the parrot monster. We're just seeing all these monsters with essence, and they're not dying immediately. And they have a way to come back from the dead anyway at 150. If you're a 150 monster, you have a lot of base life, so it's really hard to check you when you have Uriel essence too. You're in the Mechanical Evil Legions and the Underworld book. It is actually really nice right now that he isn't a villain. If this monster was in the villain book, he might have a harder time dealing with the Angel, but he's not a villain. He's Evil Legion, but he's not a villain. And he's in Underworlds, so it's nice. Um, The first skill is only one. It is a spammable 35 damage. I will say this is an option to run. I like running spammable skills, but you might want to run the argument of running Fire Devil because it also uh, makes you weak to fire attacks. So what you could do is, since everything else this thing does on the screen here, there's no special damage. It's all just fire damage. You can apply your spammable weakness and then go hard with Heat Death, which is a 60 damage, 1 turn cooldown skill that also sets you on fire. So, which also burns you. So that's one of the options you could do, or you could just do only one. But I think I'd like a weakness skill. I like the spammable weakness. It's not a whole lot of damage, but you're setting up for even more damage if that makes sense. You need to be able to deal with other Spitfires, and this is just a skill you run for that scenario. Fury of the Storm is a damage boost and precision to itself. This is a 1 turn cooldown, basically guaranteeing you do land an effect, and you do a little more damage to that too. Landing effects is pretty important in this game, and while Tough and Hardened aren't like guaranteed as much nowadays, again with like True Vision, Taboras and all that stuff, it's still nice to have, and Precision kind of cheats it. So if you are dealing with other matchups, run this skill and you should be able to cheat it. I'm not saying it's must have, but it's an option. I'd see why you'd be running the skill anyway. Technical difficulties is some moderate fire damage to everybody. It's a 35 damage skill. Uh, Mostly to check Megaton monsters. You could do Fire Devil then into technical difficulties if you wanted for astronomical boosts of damage. You're hitting 50% more and you're hitting them 3 times in a row. So that's a lot of spicy damage right there. You have a fire weakness skill. This is a single target fire weakness. I don't know if you really want to run Tornado of Souls. You could probably do that Tornado of Souls into Eruption and Eternity, well, like Eternity Dance into Eruption and then Eternity Dance again. Just do an absurd amount of single target damage. I think that's one of the combos you can do. The key with this thing really is just the combo orientation with tier 3 and to really anything else you want to do. Because you for sure run tier 3. Tier 3, Eruption and Eternal. One of them burns, the Eruption ignites while the other burns. And you have actually double the chance to burn the enemy if you do Eternal Dance first, and then do Eruption, and then Eternity Dance. And then you just go for probably either your Heat Dance or your Fire setup, or you could be running technical difficulties too. If you feel like the Eternity Dance and the Eruption is good enough, then you don't have to run. You don't have to run Fire Devil. You can run technical difficulties, and you could probably be running Ignis too. I think this monster is done with Ignis because of the sustainability, and you do get everyone on your team gets immunity to freeze, so you do get a immunity. And hey, you never know, maybe freeze is meta in the future. So there's also that to consider. Moves real quick. Yes. You run the tier 3, and then you run Heat of Death for sure. 1 turn cooldown, 60 damage, spicy. I'm going to say the last skill's up to you guys. You could choose to run an area skill, or you could not. You could just spam people to death with single target skills. And that way, in terms of like, let's say you put it on a base, right? Like, what? No, regardless of what you do, you are guaranteed to do a single target skill, and you're guaranteed to hit something that's not have evasion or space time up, right? So, and there's a lot of bases with, whatchamacallit, they have a lot of area dodge monsters, so they can't cheat you of a win. Like the likelihood of them cheating you is low. I think only one would be a good like final skill, just again to just check Grekins, or I'd say this is a really nice check to Grekin. I'd say this thing fries it. So having a good check to Grekins always nice. I think if you ranked it up a little bit, like I'd say 2 or 3, you can check Graken really easy with his extra turn skills. Um, just because of the natural effectiveness, I feel like you could check it like easy. And it's like, oh, but Dib, it's a mythic anyway, so it's a cosmic mythic, so it should check that anyway. But the type matters. The type bonus matters, especially with like uh words. It has a type advantage. The type advantage matters against the Krakens with life runes, so it's a big deal. I think it's a big check. So yeah, run the tier 3, run heat death, and then run only one. Honestly, because it's just nice to have a spammable skill just to swing immediately. Or you could do an area skill, whatever rocks your boat. But that's just what I would do. Runes real quick. You could go for damage. Being the fact he does have 2 DOTs, you can run the argument of running maybe two team speeds and a strength rune, so you can give your team more priority. Like I'm gonna say, like he doesn't need all too much damage to do damage, if you know what I mean, in terms of like higher tier rankings, just because of the fact, just about I was like you can set up weaknesses, and then you can do your DOD and all that stuff. You can help your fast monsters deny faster, if that makes sense. I'd say in terms of damage dealers, he has more freedom just because again his DOT, and I want to say the fire weakness amplifies your DOT. I'm not 100% sure, but it's weak to fire and burn does low fire damage, and so does ignite. So I don't know. It's something I'm interested in play testing and seeing if it does actually increase the DOT damage. But yeah, beyond that, his ultimate is a area fire skill that also applies the fire weakness, ignites, and burns. So I think that's just that might actually kind of go to show if that actually is a confirmed case where fire weakness will actually increase the damage of your ignition and burns. But I'm interested in seeing that. I kind of want to see how that goes. Um, Partners, real quick. Again, it goes genuinely. Most cosmic mythics in the game genuinely go with anyone just because of their high base stats. But I'd probably put this monster in particular, with a bunch of essence monsters, like at least another essence monster, plus either a mega taunt monster or a anti deny, because he's not immune to deny. He is immune to torture, but he's not immune to deny. So I'd probably run one of the two. Practically every mythic was released with a freeze immunity. They were too, weren't they? Yeah. I like the fact Ignis works so well with uh, John Dubs. John like because he gets the possession and stun immunity. You pair him with Ignis, you do have basically control immunity. I like that. That's funny. I thought that was really funny. It's not perfect control immunity, but it's kind of control immunity. You know what I mean? Um, Yeah, that's about it. I will say if you miss this monster, I'd say don't lose sleep over it. Because it's not a perfect monster, right? It's not like a Lidworm. It's not like a Rezer. It's not like anything that no one else could do better. Like I just said too, it's kind of comparable to Haste. So I guess in terms of wrapping this discussion up, why did I bring up Ice, right? Or Haste or Ice, yeah. Why did I bring up Heist? Well, right now everyone is using the first free-to-play Cosmic Mythic Heist, who was obtainable in the first season of Monster Legends. They still do free-to-play Cosmic Mythics. You just play the mode, and then you could possibly get their cells. It's a really nice thing. I'd say newer players get lucked out this gen, but yeah, it is a really nice thing to have. And with Heist, he is actually immune to control. He's immune to. I feel like Ignis got cheated too, but because they both came out at the same time, and I thought both would have like perma control immunity. That's not actually what happened. What happened was Ignis only had temporary, while Heist walked away with like full-on control immunity, and full-on control immunity is actually really nice for high-ranking cosmic attackers because you're just immune to deny. You don't care about anything as long as you are able to cleanse any like mega taunts or anything like that. They really can't stop you from doing your damage beyond like total blind. And we haven't had any total blinders from mythics yet. Right now the common meta right now is just shutting off your cooldowns. I do believe Heist has like a one turn cooldown and like a spammable skill. So it doesn't bother him too much. Like his cooldowns are kind of low, I think, too. Um, and another side note, Spitfire here also wouldn't care because again he has spammable skills. But he's not immune to control. I think that's the big difference between the two. And just the fact again he was free to play. He was able to be you were able to get this thing ranked up. Honestly, if you played, I think you could get him to three. Because I got him to three. I played the event or played through the 2 weeks, got him to rank three. So it's doable. It was doable, and it's a very popular war monster right now. I will say it's really unfair. If your war like monsters aren't in the um best like they're not the best rules, Heist actually does dominate. Like it kills things because he can't stop it. It's immune to control and it's fast, right? So it's pretty great. Having a control immunity monster is pretty good. We do also just got the new Undead Mr. Beast for Legends Pass, and I don't think that this is any better than that. So if you did get the Legends Pass here, I'd say the Legend Pass is 1,000 times better. And it even has an essence. It even does Curse. Like Curse is one of the best DOT in the game. Uh, it is pretty much a 70% in total of like damage over time. So if you do miss Spitfire, don't feel bad. It is a really cool monster though. Am I getting it? Yes. I love cool things. You guys know this. I love cool things. I like looking at cool things. This guy's like a living vacuum cleaner. He's like a vacuum cleaner that's a rocker. How could you say no to this? It's adorable. It's cool. It's rocking, my boys. It's rocking. All that fun stuff. But yeah, and I don't lose sleep over it. If you missed it, it is what it is. It's not something it's not. It's like not. I won't say this thing is must have meta. Like it's not. You shouldn't lose sleep over it because there's we just get like if you just like get the pass or whatever that you already have like a 10 times better monster and it's strength 3 and stuff like that. But that's just my opinion. Let me know what you guys think. Do you guys think this is 100% the most busted thing alive? Do you think it's absolute trash? Do you feel like it's in the middle? Do you think it's like it's not good, but at the same time it's not terrible? It's not gonna like if you get it, it won't make you sad, but it won't make you happy. But I what I think of it is I think it's all right. I don't think it's bad. I think it's all right. I think it's great that it has essence. I think it's great that it has both burning and ignite. Those are very valuable DOTs. It does apply fire weakness, so it can check things that are just fire too. So it doesn't mean that, like even though it faces against a fire monster, it's not completely like jumped out unless like it's I'm gonna say if there's a cleanser and you're dealing with a solar flare, then you worry. Then you like cry. If you have to deal with a solar flare, that's not good. Am I ranking Spitfire and Chuckle Muckle up? Nah, I'm still deciding what I want to do with because I'm getting like 2,000 cells after the book chapters are done. So I might either continue linking up Windworm or something else with it. Heist, yeah, Heist is ranked up too, and it's again back to like the availability. People do already have Heist to rank three, so it is what it is. So I don't know. People may not use them. People may use them a lot. People might dominate the scene. We don't know. But I do know that the combo is really nice, like the 25, 20, 25. Yo, between doing this, dude, you realize, man, you do about 65 damage plus the DOT. That's crazy. You can do 120 damage like in a single rotation of 3 skills. That's crazy, man. It also is interesting that the only one skill is actually at a 0 stamina cost, so it's spammable forever. So I think only one might be actually really good to run. Um, you could always run Tornado Souls too in the mirror matchup or like against fire monsters. Just again, you need to make sure you're not like your skills don't like do negative damage. Like if you should have a fire weakness skill if you are dealing with other fire monsters. Just to note that. But for the most part, only for one's looking pretty spicy. Just kind of looking at the 0 stamina cost. But yeah, that's it for this video. I'm Did the Awesome. I like the guy. I like the vid and all that fun stuff. Yeah, I'm Did the Awesome. I'll catch you guys later.